Cruz. Actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP. We help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock-sponsored mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave. But unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/bloodpressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey! Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You can call us at 631-965-4990, as everybody knows. And remember, guys, if you don't have our app, well, get our app. All you have to do is go to Android, put in or search Worldwide Sports Radio Network, or you go to iOS and put in WWSRN. Speedy, how was your weekend, my friend?
It was all right. I mean, my cousins came over to my grandparents' house, hung out with them for a little while. Beyond that, it was just pretty average.
So you had a boring weekend. What else is new? You're just a boring person. Do you do anything but hang out with your family?
Not really right now, because I don't know anyone else.
Well, you know me.
Except your friends. That's it.
You know me. And I mean, knowing me is knowing the world. Am I right?
Sure. We can go with that. I've met a lot of people because of you, so...
Well, anyways,
Speedy
had a boring weekend, but I had a very interesting weekend. I actually went to check out a dog. I was thinking about getting a puppy. I was in Brooklyn on Sunday. I actually went to Coney Island. I wanted to go and walk the boardwalk, but I couldn't find a place to park, so we really didn't stop over there, me and Brittany. So what I absolutely did, ladies and gentlemen, is I went to look at a puppy. And while I was there looking at a puppy, I found a French bulldog, and it was 3 months old. Beautiful, beautiful little puppy. And I want the dog, but as of right now, I don't know if I can get it because my landlord told me he really doesn't want a dog. But I would love to get this dog, and it was a beautiful, beautiful puppy. It was a brindle. It's something that doesn't... It's very, very hard to get in a French bulldog, breed. At the breed. So I was interested in getting the dog, but obviously right now I'm unsure if I can get it. But over the week and over the weekend, it's been a very interesting weekend. There's a lot of people on the road, by the way. There's been nonstop craziness with the beaches open and everything trying to come to normal again because right now the world is just all over the place with this COVID-19 and the George Floyd situation. It just seems like it's back and forth banter. And I want to get into this story, and we have a great show lined up for you. At 6:30, we're going to be talking to Rutgers baseball head coach Steve Owens. And at 7 p.m., we're going to be talking to the Memphis Grizzlies play-by-play guy, Eric Hasseltine. So he'll be joining us very, very soon as well at 7 o'clock. So if you like the Memphis Grizzlies and you want to know the inside scoop on what's going on with the Memphis Grizzlies moving forward, well, we're going to have Eric joining us, and we're going to have the baseball head coach of the Rutgers team, Steve Owens.
They're currently the 8th seed right now in the NBA, so whatever playoff format they do, they're going to be right in the mix.
It will be very, very fun moving forward for this show. And guys, stay tuned. We have a great show lined up for you. But the story I want to get into before we do our interviews is sports going to help what's going on in the world when it does come back? And it's a story and really an argument that only sports fans could argue this. So I ask all the fans out there, and you can call the show right now, 631-965-4990. Is sports going to really help when it returns? And my answer is, right now with the NHL and the NBA, where they're already setting up on when they're coming back, the NBA coming out this weekend, where they're going to have a 22-team, I guess you could say, round robin.
Closing of the season, essentially.
Well, it's a round robin.
There's going to be some regular season games, but
8 games.
8 games. We'll see how much that makes a difference. And it's going to be, weirdly enough, the 9 through 13 seeds in the West, and only the Wizards from the East among non-playoff teams right now.
So what I really want to do is I want to get into this story because I don't think anybody is talking about it. And to me, the way sports is, and the sports, people don't realize how important sports is, especially while it's not in our history, in my history of life, okay? There has never been no sports on TV. There's always a sport. There's basketball, there's baseball, there's hockey, there's soccer, there's European football, whatever you want to talk, tennis, all these great tournaments with Wimbledon and the
U.S.
Open and all the different things that are going on in sports. To me, when you look at sports is a way of life. And right now, with sports media and sports analysts and really sports radio, it doesn't help when there's nothing going on in sports. Now, we do know that baseball is going to probably come back. Now, we don't know, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, on how many games they're going to play this season. Is it going to be 45 games or is it going to be 76? We don't know. But right now, I believe that sports coming back is only going to help what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I think especially with the NBA and NHL right around playoff time, too. It's not like it's, all right, this is the beginning of the season. It'll gain lust for 2 weeks and then die. It's the playoffs for those two sports. And then for the individual sports, like we were mentioning with golf and tennis, they're going to be significant tournaments. They're going to have to crunch in all the major tournaments where there's not going to be any, like, not as much random tournaments for those sports either. And then football pretty much will be on schedule. Baseball's the one that, again, it's in a tough place because it's kind of half of a regular season. How urgent are the games where it might be that 2 weeks and then they won't care about it till the postseason. But again, good baseball fans will still care.
It doesn't bother anybody that sports has not been going on. It does. It absolutely does. And to me, when I think of sports, it's a way of life. Even to women, to men, to kids, to children, to even infants. When you watch sports, it changes everything. Now, you can watch The Voice. You can watch all these TV shows. You can watch movies and old movies and new movies. Eventually, you get bored of it. You get bored of it. And I'm one of those people that cannot stand watching old movies over and over and over again. And I will tell you guys this. For a person that is a movie guru, a person that loves certain TV shows, I don't even sit and watch TV anymore. I don't even sit right now and watch old baseball games and old basketball games and old football games because it annoys me right now that sports is not going on.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, the viewership is going to be there right away. We want to see something new, and that's where it's going to make a difference. And I think the NBA and the NHL in particular are going to benefit the most.
And when I look at the NHL and what Gary Bettman is doing, I say bravo to Gary Bettman because I think Gary Bettman made a statement. And everybody keeps saying the UFC was the one that really pushed sports coming back. And I beg to differ on that because the UFC was going to do anything and everything to make that money. And you know sports is all about money, and it's all about all these billionaire owners trying to bring back revenue for their organizations, and some of these players want to get paid. But right now, sports is needed in this world. It is absolutely needed right now when you talk about all the stupid things that are going on and the back and forth banter and the politicians and everything. And I don't want to get into political views or anything that's going on in the world and religion or anything. Because to me, The world needs sports. Now, LeBron James, and he's a spokesman not only for basketball, but for professional sports and athletes. He's got his own TV show that he produces. He's right now producing movies. He's got everything going on. Everything is good for LeBron James. Everything. And he has his own thoughts of what's going on in the world and the way the world is moving forward with everything that's going on. And I don't want to get into it. But without sports, and if sports was going on right now, I don't think a lot of the stories that you're hearing that's going on in the world would be headlines right now.
No, not by any means. I don't think so at all, especially, again, if it was a right away with a lot of these, a lot of the pandemic stuff.
I think that when you look at the world and you look at everything that's going on in the world, and
Hello, this is the automated system.
Oh, wait, what are you doing, Speedy?
It's an automated thing.
Well, answer the phone. Don't put the automated system on. But to me, I'm all back and forth with what's going on in the world. And I know a lot of people and a lot of analysts. Skip Bayless has been talking about it. Stephen A. Smith has talked about it. Mike Francesa has talked about it. Joe Beningo and Evan Roberts have been talking about it here in New York. I don't like to get into topics that I really can't argue about, or obviously I have nothing to say about those topics.
Yeah, you could only know so much right now, even with older games too. We can only just hope for developments, hope for the best.
That's not even what I'm talking about, Speedy. I'm talking about everything that's going on in the world.
Right.
The news, the stories that everybody wants to buckle down and talk about. Here's the story I want to get into. When you look at the NBA, you look at the NFL, you look at the NHL, you look at all these professional sports, and all these organizations trying to bring it back because of the COVID-19 situation and money situations. Right now, these players are trying to get their money. They have contracts. They're under contracts right now. You see the MLB right now trying to negotiate deals with 76 games or 45 games, whatever they're going to negotiate. These players want to get paid. These owners want to get paid. Even us as fans. You talk about DraftKings. Some people live on betting in sports.
Mm-hmm. Especially with more states legalizing it now.
But right now, you look at sports, there's nothing to bet in. So now you have DraftKings and you have all these different bookies trying to find things to bet on. And there's really nothing to bet on. And I look at professional sports is a way of life. And as a sports fan, or even analyzing what's going on in sports, we need sports to come back because I think it will take a lot of tension right now going on in the world that shouldn't be as big or has as much tension as it's been.
Yeah, too many extreme sides on both of these ends of these issues.
And to me, going back and forth and bantering what's going on in the world doesn't help because everybody's going to disagree on what I think and maybe disagree on what Speedy thinks, or maybe you guys have your own opinion towards what's going on in the world. But honest to God, sports needs to come back because right now, sports it's hurt us as a country, as an economy without sports.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see that definitely build up, especially with the revenue right away, with all these sports going to come back. Not simultaneously necessarily, but right around the same time. Especially, like I said, the two with the playoffs in particular are going to get a lot. But even baseball's going to get a lot if it does finally come into fruition that they're going to play.
Sports bring revenue. Revenue brings jobs. Jobs brings money. That's what everybody needs to understand here. And right now, where the world is going, right now in New York, we're bankrupt. Right now, we're one of the richest states in the country. We are one of the poorest states in the country right now, ever since COVID-19. Now, you talk about Cuomo, you talk about whoever you want to blame. You want to point fingers, you want to point fingers why sports hasn't come back, and you want to point fingers to Roger Goodell. If you want to point fingers to Gary Bettman or Adam Silver, for the first time in a very long time, I agree with the commissioners in professional sports.
Wow.
I agree with the ownership right now in professional sports. Because to me, I think people knock what's going on in professional sports. If you want to talk about some of the new deals that the NFL is trying to do with bringing in minority coaches where you can gain an extra draft pick an extra high draft pick, a third round or a second round draft pick. Everybody is trying to find something to talk about. And there's really, unfortunately, you can find stuff to talk about in sports, but stories that are, to me, not important to what could be important right now, because the NBA season would be practically over. The NHL season would be practically over.
You'd probably be in the finals for both of those.
And the MLB right now would be in the middle of a season after the All-Star break.
And then both the NHL and the NBA also have their draft season right around the corner.
And we'd be talking about we would be talking about OTAs. We'd be talking about interviewing coaches for the NFL or players in the NFL, which we've been doing anyways. Mm-hmm. But to me right now, sports needs to come back. We need sports back. And as a sports fan, and all you sports fans out there that know what I'm talking about, it is annoying when you pop on and you watch a UFC fight. And I'm talking about Saturday night. And I don't really want to get into the fights because me and Anthony Anderosi will talk about that on Friday. But I will say this. When you watch the UFC now, you don't see any fans out there. You don't see crowds roaring. And you don't see these athletes really push forward, watching these live fights. Yes, you're seeing these guys fight and they're competing, but it's not the same thing when you have a crowd out there.
Well, now, do you also think, though, that it's because the UFC also has, in comparison to other sports in America, at least, less of a national following in comparison, in addition to the pandemic?
I don't think this has anything to do with a national following, because all sports have a national following right now. The NHL has a national following. So does the NBA. NBA has 276 countries that watch the NBA worldwide. The NFL is huge. I mean, seriously, when you talk about professional sports, you need it to come back, because right now, with everything that's going on in the world and the arguments and the pandemic and everything, without it, it just affects everything that's going on moving forward, not only with sports radio, but the world as a whole, as an economy. Because if sports come back, it brings in so much money and revenue, not only for the state, but for the country.
And it will instantly, just because of the urgency of everything going on. Because you're right, this is the longest that anyone that...
Since the 1930s.
Right, since World War II. I think it was 1942 to 45 when the baseball players actually left, and some of the football players too, to go serve in the war, where their seasons either were with replacement players or just different leagues in general. That was the last time that anything was like this, where the professional leagues were shut down for this long of a period of time. We're approaching, I think now, 3 months exactly.
3 months.
Yeah.
It's been 3 months without any sports, without anything. No companies are open right now here in New York. You're talking about we're going to be going into stage 2. I haven't had a haircut in almost 3 months. 3 months. You're talking about all the economy, the way the world is going right now. And COVID-19, it's been a killer. It's killed over hundreds of thousands of people. And it's affected our economy, and it's going to kill businesses. And we need sports to come back, because that's going to drive revenue, and that's going to drive businesses to grow again, especially bars, especially
small businesses, just small businesses in general.
Restaurants, all the different things, Applebee's and Fridays and all the different organizations and companies that need to build and need to get their product out there again. And how about some of the radio stations out there, the advertisements, the sponsorships? Sports helps that. So when you argue the point, and everybody wants to talk about what's going on in sports or trying to find stories to talk about, this is the biggest story. And the story is sports going to bring back revenue for not only us as an organization or the world as an organization, but is sports going to bring back equality or bring back unity in this world? And I think that's what we're expecting, and that's what we expect. And I know Drew Brees has his own statements, and I don't want to get into the whole Drew Brees statement. And we talked about that last week. And LeBron James has stated some things on social media. He's got his show right now, the barbershop thing. He said some things about this whole situation and the pandemic. I'm very intrigued and very, very interested to see what some of these athletes are going to say when sports does come back. Some of these owners say when sports do come back. And by the way, movies and the movie business and entertainment business.
New movies, yeah.
Yeah, movies might not be coming out. New movies might not be coming out until the end of December, January of next year.
Right, which is going to affect movie theaters as a whole, too, because the all the new movies are on streaming services now.
It doesn't bother fans right now that the world is all over the place. And everybody's trying to find a story. The press is trying to find a story. Racism in the world is absolutely here. It's always been here. And I'm a pure supporter to fight that. We need to stand together. Okay? All of us. This sports brings it together. Brings us together. Unity. And I think the problem, that's what people are, the mishap and the misconceptions of what's going on in the world. They don't realize that that's what sports is going to bring back. It's going to bring unity back. And it's been around for a long, long time, racism. Absolutely been around. Forever. And I've been against it my whole life. And I support a lot of these athletes and what they say and the arguments that they have. Black lives do matter.
Absolutely.
Everything matters in this world, and we want to bring people together, and sports brings unity together. And I have been bothered by what's going on in the world right now. I watch the things that are going on. Once in a blue moon, I pop on Fox News, or I pop on Channel 4 or CBS, whatever I want to pop on, just to check out what's going on in the world. And you want to know something? It's horrendous. It's terrible. Innocent people dying around the world. People fighting for their rights around the world. And to me, bringing back sports will bring back unity, not only for fans, but even people that don't like sports.
And even rivalry settings, too. You might even just see, all right, we're just happy it's back.
So to me right now, everybody should be excited. By the end of July, sports will be back.
Mm-hmm. And hockey could even be back before that at the beginning of July, too.
All the stuff that's going on and people trying to negotiate and the MLB trying to negotiate with the players union, all this stuff, this is a good news. This is a good way of moving forward. So all the fans out there that said sports, I don't like sports, sports is nothing, sports means nothing. Sports is going to bring unity back to this world. It's going to bring everything. It's going to bring back everything. It's going to help businesses out. It's going to bring in revenue. It's going to help everything. So everybody should be supporting what's going on in sports and entertainment right now. So I ask you fans, all of you fans out there that listen to us, the tens of thousands of people that listen to us, to support what's going on in the world. Help bring back sports. Help bring back unity. What's going on in the world. And stop fighting. Fighting is not going to help anything moving forward. None of it is. And I'm disgusted to see what's going on in the world. I've just had it. And I'm here in New York and I'm seeing what's going on. The videos and the feeds and all the crap that we see. We should be together on every single thing we do. And when one person does something wrong, and I'll tell you something, they should lock the keys up, and that guy should be, I don't even want to talk about what should happen in jail to this guy. And the cops that sat there and watched what happened to George Floyd. I don't even want to talk about it on this show, because you know my thoughts to it. I'm sure you guys do. But bringing back sports will bring back unity, it will bring back togetherness, and it will bring back competition, which will change everything when it comes to news, when it becomes to press, when it becomes to newspapers and magazines, and all the crap that we're talking about that has nothing to do with what is going on in the main parts of the world.
Yep, we can only speculate for so long, and now we're on to 3 months.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to Rutgers baseball head coach Steve Owens here on the great Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
631-965-4990. This is Down to the Wire. As you guys know, we are live every single Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Remember, you can call us at 631-965-4990. I told you guys we had a great show lined up to you, and it seems like it's always Coach Week for us, and I want to give a shout-out to Ricky and Jillian to getting this particular coach on the line with us as we speak right now. We are now talking to Rutgers baseball head coach, Steve Owens. What's going on, Steve?
Not much. I had a virtual day of work with a bunch of WebEx calls and a bunch of phone calls, and I'm sitting in my backyard in the shade right now.
Where are you located right now?
I'm in Eatontown, New Jersey, down by the down south of Cold Snack and down by Asbury Park, somewhere down there.
Oh, so it's about 80 degrees over there in New Jersey today, right?
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. Just gorgeous, sunny. It'd be a great day to be playing a baseball game, that's for sure. But I think it's a great day to be racing today. It's really nice.
How are you?
I'm from upstate New York, so when I say upstate, I'm not talking about like Westchester either. I'm talking about like Syracuse, Utica. So it's snowy up there.
Oh yeah.
And, this is nice weather.
I know what you're talking about because it's funny because I drove up there to go to Canada last year. I drove all the way up there. It took 12 hours to get to Toronto. I will never do that again because for some reason you would think that we weren't going to hit a blizzard. It was at the end of the winter, and all of a sudden on the way home, we were driving home and we hit a huge blizzard, and we had to take a detour all the way through Pennsylvania to get home. It was horrendous.
Yep, that happens on a daily basis from like November to April. So that's part of the deal up there.
How are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
We're fine, thank you. Everyone's healthy, which is the most important thing for everybody. And my kids finished up the semester in I have 3 in college, so they finished up their semester, remotely like everyone else. And then my oldest is still finishing up his master's degree at Bryant and doing that from home. And they're door dashing or whatever you call that. So they found a way to get some employment and get out of the house and do some stuff, make a little money. So it's fine. I started this not thinking that we were going to be still locked down, in June. So I was doing all the home improvement projects that I could possibly handle by myself, and I'm pretty close, I think, to accomplishing those goals, and I think I've run out of a lot of those.
We are talking to Rutgers baseball head coach Steve Owens. So, Steve, coach, why don't we get into your team right now? Last year, you had a great season and really the growth of Rutgers baseball. We talk about Rutgers, we think about their football team because obviously the last couple of years it hasn't been pleasant, but
since they moved to the Big Ten.
Yes, it hasn't been pleasant, but this is a school where it's known for their track and field and their football. Tell us a little bit about your baseball team and your recruitment of some of your players.
Yeah, this being my first year down here, and the first year you have to learn new players, and you have to figure out their strengths and weaknesses, and the current culture, and it's a lot of give and take between the coaches figuring out the new players and the new players buying into the direction that we want to head and all that stuff. So we spent a lot of time practicing, evaluating, getting repetition, trying to have as good of a season as we could. And I think the kids did a good job. We have some talented players. We haven't been on that long of a run of success for a few years. But we were excited about the guys that we had and the season. And then, kind of dramatically came to a screeching halt about 20% into the season. So it was a fun year. It was challenging in a lot of ways, and it's challenging on the team too. When they have change, everyone thinks the new coach comes in and then everything changes. Well, listen, we're still playing baseball. We're just different guys filling out the lineup, and the players stayed the same, and again, we felt very comfortable growing the relationships with the players. That's the most important thing that you can do when you come into a new situation. And then and we hit the ground recruiting and trying to build for the future and bring in talented players, because that's the bread and butter of college athletics. Obviously, is just being able to recruit high-level players to come into your program every year. You can coach, you can coach players, 1,000 hours a week, but you got to have some elite guys to change the program, and so we're working really hard to spread, all the excitement around Rutgers athletics right now with Coach Shiano coming in and the men and women's basketball programs having such a great season, and actually all the coaches in the athletic team doing so well. And we're recruiting every single day, even though we can't go out and watch kids yet. We're looking forward to the opportunity to go out and evaluate kids playing and build our classes for the coming year.
One guy that did have an impressive start to your first season before it obviously got cut short was starting pitcher Henry Rutkowski, 2.74 ERA in 23 innings pitched to start the year. Very impressive showing by him. What impressed you the most about his performances?
Well, Harry's a Friday starter in our program, and he was last year also. And he's a very polished frontline left-handed pitcher. He was primed to go into professional baseball this year. He still may get drafted in the top 5 rounds because he's that good. But just really good stuff, outstanding work ethic, very tough kid, very self-motivated, a person that that takes ownership of what he does. You never have to, he has a plan. He executes the plan. He doesn't take days off. I mean, when you want to build a pitching staff around, 15 guys like Harry Rutkowski, and you got some dudes. So Harry competed at a really high level, and I feel Harry would be a weekend starter at any team in the country, and we're hoping to have him back next year, selfishly, because he still would be a junior. So if he doesn't go in the top 5 rounds, we'll have Harry back, pitching for us on Fridays next year. And we're really excited about that.
Coach, what is it like to go, and I've asked a lot of coaches, a lot of baseball coaches. We've had tons and tons of baseball coaches join us, and we really appreciate all you coaches joining us, especially with this pandemic, so you could talk about your schools and really the growth of your baseball teams. We've asked a bunch of coaches, what is it like going into a person's house and trying to recruit them and sell them Rutgers? What if you came into my house and I was a 17-year-old kid and I'm just about to pick a school to go to, and Rutgers is one of those schools that I'm interested in going to because I love the academics, I love the school. How would you sell me and my family on going to Rutgers?
Well, first of all, it's a great school, and it's a very high academic school, and we've got tons of alumni. I think over 500,000 alumni. If you were a kid that was in this general area of the country, I think it would be a very, very attractive choice. There's only two schools in our region of the country that play baseball in Power 5 conferences, and Boston College being in the ACC, and then Rutgers being in the Big Ten. So I think Rutgers' move into the Big Ten is just an absolute, game changer. We get to play Indiana and Michigan, Nebraska and Iowa and Michigan State, and just tremendous, large, great schools with great athletic programs and really high academics and national recognition. And, I feel that kids are going to be very excited to play, in the Big Ten. Their parents are going to be, close by where they could drive a couple hours or 3 hours and watch them play. If even less than that, they happen to be a New Jersey guy that wants to stay home, which is something that we're really trying to, to make happen. And, you're playing high-level athletics in a Power 5 conference, arguably one of the best conferences in the country, all-around conferences when you look at the major sports. And, I just feel it's a great opportunity to win. I mean, this is a multi-bid conference. You see what Michigan did 2 years ago, playing Vanderbilt to the final game in Omaha, and that's a cold weather school, and they're playing for a national championship in baseball. So, you look at all the professional teams in the Northeast, from the Orioles all the way up to the Yankees, and there's so many people that love baseball and embrace it in the summertime. I just feel like there's a great culture and a lot of interest around baseball in this part of the country. We have a tremendous population of kids in New Jersey. Over 9 million, people in the state. There's tons of great players. It's just, it's exciting. So I feel, we have a history, with Coach Hill and what he was able to build, in the Big East and with high level pro players, guys that have gone on to play and put their mark on Major League Baseball, conference championships and NCAA tournaments. And now, we're in a conference that potentially could get as many as 3 or 4 or 5 bids to the NCAA tournament on a given year because of the strength and the depth of it. So I think the opportunity for you to travel and play against these elite teams, to be treated, and have such support with, not only, being coached at a high level, but having, tremendous athletic training and academic support, nutrition, strength and conditioning. We have all those at Rutgers, and so it's an easy sell. It really is. It's a very high academic school and a great conference. And believe it or not, even though we started our season pretty early, our weather is not too shabby for the majority of our season. So we had the school and an alumni redo our playing surface last year, and we did several enhancements that really upgraded our playing facility. And we have a super indoor facility. And so, if you want to win and you want postseason opportunities and you want to get professional exposure, there's tons of scouts in this area. It could be a great fit for you. You coming?
Coach, I'm too old. I'll tell you this. I have 2 friends that actually graduated from Rutgers and are doing very, very well on their careers. So, it's a great academic school. I know all about Rutgers and what they do academically, and they have an underrated track and field team. So I know about their athletics and the growth of their athletics. As you guys know, we are talking to Rutgers baseball head coach Steve Owens.
Coach, what were you looking forward to the most when you heard you were getting the Rutgers job?
Well, I had been I've been coaching. I've been doing this for a long time. I believe this year was my 28th year as a head coach. So I've been at 3 different schools. I haven't moved that often. I've stayed, at places. I've built the program. We've had, long-term extended success. And then when I felt like I couldn't do any more at the particular school that I was at, or it was just time for a personal and professional change and a new challenge, then I would talk to my wife and say, hey, hon, I think it's time, I think I've, done my job here, and I think it's time to look for a new challenge. And, I think that's what I felt, when this opportunity arose. I was extremely excited to be offered the position. When the details got worked out, I was able to bring my staff with me. And I knew, our recent records have not been, as good, obviously, with the transition to the Big Ten. Things are a little rough. It's always tough to be successful going into an established big-time conference. And so there's growing pains that go with that. I've done the rebuilds before. I know how to do it. I believe in myself and my staff and our ability to make change. And so I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be a lot of change. I know the drill. It's just, moving your entire family, and then, starting fresh is, it's difficult, but it's challenging and rewarding and exciting as well. And so, you're kind of scared and you're excited at the same time. That's how I would term it.
Coach, one of our fans on social media wants me to ask you this question. What are the biggest obstacles in traveling, especially being so far from most of the Big Ten teams?
Well, we do have to fly a lot. There's only 2 opponents in conference that we don't that we bust to, and that's Penn State and Maryland. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to play a Big Ten game yet. I have to wait for next year for that. But, you know, it's kind of challenging, you know, to play the early part of our season and even the conference games because we're so spread out. You know, we're going to Iowa to play a Friday game. You know, we might have to leave at 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. Pack up, have a breakfast in the locker room, get on the bus, go to Newark, maybe get on a flight at 10, arrive out there at 2 or 3, maybe an hour from the school, get on another bus, check into the hotel, eat something quick, go over to the field and practice, and then, eat dinner, set our itinerary for the next day, go over our scouting report, go over any other reminders that we have to with the team, and then go to bed and start your 3-game series. And, you know, you get done playing Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and then you have to come home and you got to go to class. You might get in at 4 in the morning, Monday morning, and you got to go to classes, on Monday. So it's challenging instead of just going up the road to play St. John's or Seton Hall. Those are easier trips, than flying to Iowa to play a weekend baseball series. So there is some challenge. It's also, I think if you're an 18 to 21-year-old guy, I think it's, kind of fun to go see these other schools, compete against kids from across the country. While you're there playing baseball, you get to see, the gymnasiums and the basketball arenas and the football stadiums, and your pitchers might, get to go do their running after they pitch, around the other campuses, and you get to eat barbecue in some parts of the country and steaks in other parts, and so there's some cool stuff with traveling. I would lie to you. I mean, there's a difference between traveling like we travel, and then being a professional team where you get on a charter and, your luggage is put on the plane for you. That's a different animal. But this is something, that's part of our sport, and you have to embrace it and not fight it because it's inevitable. We're playing 35, probably at least 35 away games out of our 56-game schedule. So, there's times when it's very difficult, but in general, it's quite rewarding. And if you can win on the road, then you certainly can win at home. I've never used the road as an excuse. I think that's what I think that's the wrong message to send to your team. You're going to be able to win on the road. The bases are still 90 feet apart, and the mound's the same height. So I've never used playing on the road as an excuse.
Well, before you were coaching at Rutgers, at the start of this century, you actually were coaching an independent school called Lemoyne. And actually,
century, huh? You got to use that word, century.
I think it was 2000. What was it? 2001. He started.
Coach,
there,
he's making us. He's making us feel old. Okay.
At the start of this century, you were coaching at an independent school called Lemoyne, and you actually made 3 regional tournaments with them. Talk about the challenges you had to do as an independent school in order to get into the tournament. And do you think the NCAA, not just in baseball but even in other sports, makes it very difficult for independent schools?
Well, I'll correct you. Like, when I was at Lemoyne, we were in the Metro Athletic Conference with Manhattan and Iona and Canisius and Niagara. We were in that conference.
Oh, okay.
So even though we were, at the end of that run, so we were in that conference for like 18 or 20 years. I was in there from like 99 to 2007. And then what happened was, so we were winning the automatic qualifying bid by winning the conference tournament, and so then at the end of 2007, we had played, I believe we were playing in a regional with Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Louisiana Lafayette. And I remember that because Jonathan Ilukoy was catching for Louisiana Lafayette, but we competed quite well there. We had 3 or 4 players drafted. One of them went on to play in the major leagues from that team. And then about a month after the season got over, our athletic director, our longtime athletic director, had retired, and we actually got kicked out of the league because we were an associate member, and the league had just decided to go in a different direction with their membership. So, I was running the only Division I program at the school. The rest of the teams were Division II. And so I begged them to keep us independent for a couple of years to see if somebody else would scoop us up in a conference. And then when it became clear that wasn't going to happen, that's when I pursued another job opportunity.
As you guys know, we are talking to Rutgers baseball head coach Steve Owens. Coach, let's get into some MLB conversation, because to me, the MLB has been all over the place the last couple of months. And really, I want to know your opinion. And I've asked a bunch of the coaches on their opinion of the Houston Astros situation, of the cheating, electronic cameras in their...
the buzzers.
The buzzers. I mean, all the different things that is going on. And to me, I know you're a coach and you've been coaching for many, many years. Do you think baseball got it right? Do you think baseball should have suspended some of the players? Or do you think they should have dropped the hammer on the organization?
Well, I'm not a political guy. I don't get involved in some of these battles that I should be sticking my nose in too often. But I do feel, that there's like at every single sports team is trying to gain whatever competitive advantage they can, and there's ways to do that. Like if a pitcher is actually tipping his pitches because you've paid attention and you've studied him and you can get that, that's different, in my opinion, than videotaping something and banging on a trash can. To me, that's quite bad because it changed the outcomes of the game. The pitchers that were pitching were they were handicapped. It doesn't matter what major league hitter you have. If they know what pitch is coming, they're going to hit it. They can hit 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, and they can hit filthy sliders. So I feel that was bad. I'm not really going to pass judgment on, who should have got what punishment. I think the game will take care of itself a little bit too. I mean, they kind of got a reprieve right now because, there was, they were getting yelled at in the spring training, and then things got shut down, and right now people are focused on some different things. But, I'm not even sure, exactly, the extent of all the penalties that got handed down, but none of the players got suspended, right?
None of the players got suspended. Nope.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure on that. Again, I think especially in this climate that we're in right now where everyone's frustrated, I'd like to have a lot of friends and stay in the middle on some of these things. But I do feel bad that the game was cheated because, I don't think anyone that loves a sport or loves professional sport, wants to see it tainted by anything that was done improperly. And I'll kind of leave it at that.
If you were a coach in that situation, if you felt like somebody was using those kinds of technology to steal signs against you, what kind of approach would you have in terms of maybe changing your game plan or having your pitcher or catcher changing your signs? Would you do anything creative?
Well, yeah. I mean, we have to do that. We've kind of, even this year, we wound up putting like play cards on our wristbands with pitchers and catchers because of the advent of video. So we just took that totally out of the mix this year and didn't worry about it. We set up down the middle with our catchers. The pitchers knew the pitch and the location based on what the pitching coach called, and so they knew where we were throwing the pitch and what kind of pitch it was. And we wound up practicing with this all winter, and we got pretty efficient at it. We only got to play like 15 games, but it was great. The game sped up. The infielders also had the same type of number notification on the wrist, so they knew if you're the shortstop, you knew to anticipate that a changeup was coming and maybe position yourself in the sixth hole a little bit, or just anticipate that the ball was going to be pulled if a right-handed batter was up. So we kind of took we took a proactive approach to that this year because, I think there's some good pitch stealing and things like that happened in collegiate baseball also, and we just tried to get ahead of it.
Coach, before we let you go, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Coach, before we let you go, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
Well, we have, you can follow Rutgers Baseball, and we have our own Twitter account and Instagram account and our website, our school website. Jimmy does a great job of posting recent stories on our players' accomplishments, and I've limited my social involvement, to my own Twitter account. And so, between phone calls and emails and WebEx calls and Zoom calls, I can only handle about one other social media thing. So, I'm just, and I like to look at the Twitter stuff because every now and then you can find a pretty good picture on there or watch a nice swing or read something that's interesting. So I filter through that a little bit with some free time. But, again, I guess I'm a little more old school, but, we're hoping to build something really special here that people in this area can come and watch and embrace and get behind and get excited about. And, again, I think, I'm very impressed with the leadership at Rutgers University and the direction that we're headed as a school. This pandemic has set everybody back, and we're hoping, especially in this part of the country, which has been the hardest hit part of the country, that, good fortune comes to all and we can get back and get excited. I know you guys are drooling for some sports to be played, and I can't wait to watch a baseball game and just enjoy it and then be able to get out and watch kids play again.
As you guys know, if anybody knows, the first topic we talked about is how important sports is to the world right now coming back. So, yes, we're very excited that we're hearing that there will be sports coming back, Coach. But when the baseball season does start for you guys, we'd love to get you guys on, and we'd love to get you back on. And we would love to come out there to Rutgers and actually interview some of the players and some of the coaches if you allow us to.
That would be great. Anytime. Anytime that we can publicize, the good stuff that's going on down here, we want it. And we would love to have you guys down to talk about baseball anytime.
Thank you so much, Coach, for joining us.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on, and stay safe, and looking forward to a baseball game.
Absolutely. As you guys know, that was Rutgers baseball head coach Steve Owens. When we come back, we are going to have the voice, yes, the voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, Eric Hasseltine, here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
631-965-4990. As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. I'd like to thank Rutgers head coach Steve Owens for joining us at 6:30. And we have our second guest of the show. We are now talking to Memphis Grizzlies radio play-by-play guy, Eric Hasseltine. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, not much, guys. How you doing?
We are good, my friend. How are you and your family doing right now with this whole pandemic and what's going on in the world?
Everybody is good. I'm very lucky. No people that are very, very close to me have tested positive. We haven't really experienced any tragedies or and this thing is obviously hit every area of the country differently. Where you guys are at, it hit it like a Mike Tyson overhand left back in the 80s, and it in my home state of California has been hit fairly hard, but we've been pretty fortunate in Tennessee. It really kind of tapered off, and it's still a thing. And when I say that, I don't want to take it lightly. It's still very much here, but they've done a really good job with the social distancing, and they've instituted an opening back up progress in a couple of phases, and they're working towards phase 3 of that process. So everybody's set. Kids are now finally done with school, and now it's off to a summer break where, even out here, they're starting to open up some summer camps and things like that for kids to be able to go to, albeit with very different rules, very different ways of going about day-to-day life. But that's what we are as people. We're resilient and we're willing to adjust. So I just think there's just going to be a new norm for a lot of things we do for the next handful of years, for sure.
So, Eric, let's get into some NBA conversation. And the NBA came out this weekend that they want to have a 22-team, I guess you could say it's not a round robin, but they're going to play 8 games, and 22 teams are going to be involved with it. And then they're going to try to have a playoff series. And to me, what the NBA is trying to do is they're trying to bring back the sport. And I understand what LeBron James is saying all over social media. I saw what Chris Paul has been saying, that it's detrimental for the league to come back, not only for the fans, but for the players. What are your thoughts with the 22-team playoff run?
Yeah, there were a few options on the table, and the only team that didn't like this option was actually one of the teams there in Portland, and they just felt there were better options. I had heard some really good suggestions from people. One of the ones that came from Gary Parrish, who's a radio host here, but also the national college basketball writer for CBSSports.com, and appears on their family of television networks during college basketball season. He thought the best way to do it was a 20-team deal with 4 brackets of 5 teams in pool play. You split them all up by random draw with, teams, there's 4 A teams, 4 B teams, 4 C teams, 4 D teams, and 4 E teams based on record. And then you play everybody in your bracket twice. And so you get 8 games there, you make up a bunch of games. Then the top 3 in each bracket automatically go, 4 wild cards, and 4 teams go home. I thought that was maybe the most equitable way to do it, but even then, you can make the contest. Well, what if you catch a team that like Utah, who lost Bojan Bogdanovic, and that's a big piece for them. That they're not quite the same team. So, or you're catching San Antonio now without LaMarcus Aldridge with that news today. So, what they ended up going with the 22 teams, I think, eliminates anybody saying, "Hey, we should have gotten a shot." To be honest with you, I think. Even 6 games I thought was a lot. And to put it in perspective for people, I would always explain it to people this way. The Grizzlies had 17 games left when the season shut down. And they were about to embark on a 3-game road trip with 2 of those games being against teams that were chasing them. If they were to split, they were all on the road. If they were to split those games and even lose the game in Utah and go 1-2, they would have been, I think, 33 and 35 at that point. So, with that said, they had 14 games left, and even after that, if you were 4 games behind them at that point, and you have 17 games, let's say that, if the Grizzlies go 8-9, which is exactly the level they were playing at since the All-Star break, even with the toughest schedule in the league, and they were getting pieces back as we were going forward, to catch them, teams had to go 12-5, 13-4, and that's not where those teams were. That's not where the Grizzlies were. They played like that during stretch. So for a lot of people said, well, because of that, it's not fair. And I said, well, you also had head-to-head matchups, though. So I think it's fair. I think it's equitable. It'll be interesting to see what happens if a team like Phoenix or a team like Washington goes out there and loses the first 2 or 3 of their 8 and they're essentially eliminated. Then how do you handle it? Do you keep playing these out, and how does that affect the rest of the game? That's going to be the thing I'll be keeping my eye on for folks, because what you don't want is a team out there and say Phoenix says, okay, Devin Booker's done. We're not playing these games don't matter. We're going to sit our star down, who's, can go, as we've seen, for 40, 50, 60, even 70 any given night when he gets hot, especially his capability of shooting basketball, and that can keep the team in the game. If he's out, that's a totally different ball club. If Washington loses 3 or 4 straight, and then they say, well, hey, Bradley Beal's done, we're not playing him anymore, then that's a different look to that team as well. So I feel good about where the Grizzlies are. I think it's been interesting. They struggled a little bit with New Orleans in their first 2 matchups. It gives the fans a chance to get Zion Williamson there. I think it's very equitable for Sacramento, who was playing really well in the last month and a half and had figured out how they wanted to play, which probably took them a little longer than it should have, in my opinion. But they've got a terrific young point guard, De'Aaron Fox, who can really push the tempo, and they started playing faster, and that opened things up for some of their other good players, like Buddy Hield or the other Bogdanovich, who they're not related, and even Marvin Bagley with Celtics. So it's going to be interesting to watch this play out and see what happens. The Grizzlies didn't have any games remaining with Sacramento. They had 2 with Portland, 2 with New Orleans, and 1 with San Antonio in that group that was chasing them. They had finished with Phoenix. They were done with Washington and Orlando. But the word I got was they were going to try to hand-pick the games on teams' remaining schedules against teams that were going to be down there and then kind of fill in the void. So 5 of the 8 games, if they do that, the Grizzlies are already spoken for. They also had games remaining with Philadelphia, Utah, and Houston. So it wouldn't surprise me if those are the 8 games the Grizzlies play. And if that's the case, then you know what? You got to win it to get in it. And I've never been one to shy away and say, hey, it should, you should just be given this on a silver platter because this is where you were. If you have a chance to play it out, that's what this is about. You play to win, and you play to earn the right to be there. And I think it's fair. And I know some people say, oh, Memphis gets the shaft because the league wants Zion to have a chance to get in. Well, that's fine. The league's a business, and Zion's a draw. And Zion's a terrific talent, and I want to see him play too. I also want to see the Grizzlies win 4 or 5 of these games and try to build a 4-game lead and 5-3. And so it's a moot point because if they do that, I think that they'll have that lead and they won't even have to do the play-in tournament. But I like the way it's set up, and I think it'll be fun to watch.
One of the big reasons that the Grizzlies are where they are, obviously we know John Morant and Jaren Jackson both were top 5 picks, but a lot of the other young players, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, guys like Georgie Dang, players like that, second-round picks and undrafted guys that have made a big contribution. What impresses you most about their performances, and also what does that say about their new head coach in Taylor Jenkins?
Well, let me start with Taylor because coach has been phenomenal. And just to get a grasp on what kind of person Taylor Jenkins is, this is his first year in Memphis, and he came up through the San Antonio system, went to Atlanta when Mike Budenholzer got the job. He had coached him at QE with the Austin Toros and then became the lead assistant in Milwaukee. And it's remarkable to me night in, night out, how many teams we play where other assistants come over and make it a point to come talk to him. And there's a relationship there that maybe we didn't know about off the top. And I get to speak to him before every game. He's always very candid, very honest. He's brought a style that we have not really ever seen here in Memphis. I've been with the team since they moved in 2001. I went from hair on fire, that Sacramento Kings team that had Chris Webber and Jason Williams and Vlade Divac and those guys. That's what I was covering, to a team that really wasn't very good at first. And then when Hubie Brown came in, that's probably as close to anything we've seen here. But that was only for about a year and a half. And after that, it was Mike Fratello, then Mark Ivaroni, then Lionel Hollins and Dave Yeager. And those were teams that, because of the roster partially and because of their styles and beliefs on the defensive side of things, they slowed it down. This team believes in defense, but they play fast. And he is a big believer, and if you have the open shot, you think it's a good one, go ahead and let it fly. That's one of his mottos, is let it fly. And during this whole pandemic, I was out to dinner with my girlfriend, and she looked at me, and I had this puzzled look on my face, and she said, "What just happened?" I said, "I just want you to read this." And it was a text from Taylor. Unsolicited, he said, "Hey, I just wanted to check on you. I just wanted to thank you for everything you did during this year. I think we're going to get to play again. I'm really looking forward to coming back and catching up with you and hopefully your families." And that's just the type of guy he is. And he sent that to me. He sent that to some of our other broadcasters and people that go with the traveling party. And he's very serious when it comes to his game preparation, and we all understand that and respect that. But he's also just a very good guy. And it's weird for me, having had several coaches that are older than I am, other than Dave Yeager, who's about my age, who kind of went through the ranks together and developed a really good friendship. But Taylor's younger than me, so he asked for my advice on some things in Memphis, and that's what I really like about him. He's not afraid to say he doesn't know something. He's willing to listen. He's got a terrific set of assistants, Vitaly Potapenko, Scooney Penn, David McClure, who was in Indianapolis, Brad Jones, who was a great coach in the G League in his own right, his lead assistant, along with someone who just departed in Neil Ivey, who's now the head women's coach at Notre Dame, and that's a great staff. Those people's development of the young players you mentioned is a big reason why we're at where we're at. The relationship with the players between the staff and the coaches on this squad is as good as I've seen in 20 years here in Memphis. They all have their guys that they work out, and it's been really beneficial for guys like John Morant and Jaren Jackson and Dylan Brooks, and them being able to call these coaches at 10 o'clock at night and say, "Hey, I need to go get some shots," things like that. The fact that there is no one on this roster right now that at the end of last year was starting in a unit together and that they were a game below 500 was remarkable to me. Nobody had really ever played together when we looked at the training camp roster, other than for a handful of games. Maybe Jonas Valanciunas and Kyle Anderson. Dylan Brooks was hurt for most of last year. Jaren Jackson sat down the last 30-plus games, and so there was a lot of chemistry that needed to be worked out, and that's why they started a little slowly. But when they caught their rhythm, that's when they started playing the type of basketball I think they're capable of playing. They've got a really deep team. When you look at what this roster is built like for the future, I'm really excited, because you can talk about a starting five after the trade deadline of John Morant, Dylan Brooks, Justice Winslow, Jaren Jackson, and Jonas Valanciunas, all signed for multiple years. And your second unit, also all but one signed for multiple years, of Tyus Jones, DeAnthony Melton, Grayson Allen, when he comes back from his injury, Kyle Anderson, Gorgie Jang, and Brandon Clark. And that's an 11-man rotation that's pretty good. Is it the Lakers? Is it the Bucks? And you can say no, because they don't have Giannis or LeBron. But Giannis and LeBron and those guys took time to develop into who they are now. And that's where I think John Morant can get to. Not that he's LeBron, but he can get to that star level where he can really be the go-to guy. And he's got a sidekick that is getting better each and every night out in Jaren Jackson. And we have to remember, both of them are under the age of 21 right now. And that bodes really, really good things for the future for this team.
We are talking to Memphis Grizzlies radio play-by-play broadcaster Eric Hasseltine. Eric, John Morant is a sensational athlete, and this past year I saw him jump over a player and jam the ball. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, you're talking about one of the highest flying players we've seen at the point guard position since really Russell Westbrook came into the league. He came out a couple of months ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, stating that he believes he was Rookie of the Year because Zion didn't play the whole season. And the Knicks have a very good young player in R.J. Barrett over there. When you look at John Morant and you compare him to Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett, the 1, 2, 3 picks in this past year's draft, how do you compare and contrast him to those other two guys?
Well, I mean, they're all so different because they play different spots on the floor. Zion is just something like we haven't seen. And I've had a chance to see him play live twice, and a lot of his games on television. He's a lot more basketball skilled, I think, than people realized. I knew that from watching a lot of Duke last year. And You just saw this guy that was a man amongst boys, but when you get him in against other grown men, he's still making ridiculously thought-provoking basketball moves. What I mean by that, he's figured out where his next step is. He's not thinking about the next step he's going to take. He's taking 2 steps ahead at this young of an age, and he really uses his body well. And he'll work on that shot, and that's something he can always get better at. The question is, with him, has always been, if he keeps that weight on the upper part of his frame, what kind of pressure does that put on his limbs? What kind of damage can that do? And that's why in New Orleans, I know they're very, very stringent on him about his diet and his work ethic and his exercise plan, and he's been willing to do whatever they've asked. That's the thing about he and Ja, and what I hear about RJ too, is they're all willing listeners to what the plan is going to be. They don't come in thinking, hey, I got this, I'm already good. With RJ, I think he has a chance to be a really, really elite level scorer with his capability of shooting the basketball. Again, it's another thing where you've always been better than everybody else. Now you're against the best in the world. So it took them a minute to figure out, where can I get open? How can I get open? When can I get open? When is the best time for me to take over and try to go one-on-one and take the shot, or let the ball movement dictate when I'm going to get an opening? And I saw that develop with him as well as the season went along in New York. With Ja, it's a different deal because he's got the ball in his hand so much more than those other two guys. He's running the show for us. And the thing with Ja that's going to be his next step, in my opinion, is that he takes over games earlier rather than in the fourth quarter. He's in the top 5 in the league in scoring in the fourth quarter. But you can see it's a conscious effort on his part a lot of times early game going, where he's trying to get other guys going, whether it's Dylan Brooks or Jonas Valanciunas, who both had monster games because Ja realized they had it going early on, or they had a favorable matchup. He just kept getting him the ball, and his ability to break you down off the dribble sets other guys up. They've talked about, hey, we want him to be just a little bit more selfish, a little bit more, I can take my guy, no problem, anytime. That's not who he is. He's a totally team-oriented guy, and he said out loud, I would be happy to have 20 assists and 0 points if we win a ball game. But I'd be happy to have 20 points and no assists if we win a ball game. What I don't want is 20 points, 20 assists, and I'm trying to dominate. We lose by 1 because we missed an opportunity because I was focused on the stuff I'm doing. He's an incredibly astute young man, and the Grizzlies are lucky to have him. I think we can look at this draft class, these last 2 draft classes, actually, guys. You're going to see the foundation for the league for the next 10 to 12 years coming out of there with guys like Luka Doncic and Trae Young and DeAndre Ayton, and even Marvin Bagley, who hasn't had a chance to show what he can do, and then some of the picks in this last draft with Ja playing the way he is. I don't want to leave Brandon Clark out because I have yet to see another rookie in my 20-year career that has had the knowledge of when and where to take shots that this young man does. I asked Taylor Jenkins about it once. He said, Brandon knows where he can make shots and where he can't, and he's not willing to step out to places where he can't. And that was kind of a knock. They said, well, he can't shoot the 3. Well, he's shooting 40% from 3. He doesn't take them unless you leave him alone. He's not going to take a contested 3. His willingness to drive to 6-7 feet, and instead of trying to go in and dunk on everybody, to just stop and elevate and shoot a little floater because he's tremendously athletic, shows a level of basketball IQ that's far beyond his years. So I'm excited. I'm excited about those 3 rookies. I'm excited about what Brandon can do, and I'm excited about the second-year guys that have really kind of lit up the league as well, like Doncic and Young, like we were talking about, who were both deserving All-Stars this year.
From the present to the past, the Grizzlies in your broadcasting career actually pulled off one of the rare 8-1 upsets you see in the NBA playoffs. Yeah. They beat the Spurs. Did you think at the time it was realistic? And what do you think were the biggest keys for them in beating the Spurs that year in your time watching and broadcasting, if you did?
Yeah, no, I do remember. I remember like it was yesterday. We were down the stretch on the road, and it was us in Portland, and I want to say the Clippers or the Nuggets were fighting for 6, 7, and 8. And Lionel Hollins made a very controversial decision in some Blazers fans' minds to sit Coney Allen and Zach Randolph for the last 2 ball games. He basically said, we don't care if we play the Lakers or the Spurs. I need those 2 guys healthy a week from now. I don't need them healthy tonight. I need them healthy a week from now. And there was a longtime Portland newspaper writer who took Lionel to task in the paper. And a lot of people in Portland, because Lionel had such a great run there as a player, took his side and said, hey, let him coach his team. And then the cynics said, well, congratulations, you just got the number 1 seed in San Antonio. It was obviously in game 1 for that series, it was a big absence for them with Manu Ginobili out. At that time, he was really playing amazing basketball. And the Grizzlies in game 1 took advantage. The trade they made mid-year that year to get Shane Battier was huge. He hit a big 3. I remember it vividly. It's probably one of my favorite memories of my career because the Grizzlies had been to the playoffs 3 times previously and had never won a game. And when he hit that 3, I knew the game was ours. I also vividly remember after that game, a lot of San Antonio Spurs fans looking at us going, hey, we weren't going to have one, as we were walking around downtown San Antonio because it was a day game. And we ran into a few guys, maybe a player on the injured list who I don't know his name, but at a local bar, and we were celebrating, with some Spurs fans in good nature. And they said, "Well, we let you have one." And I said, "Well, if you guys want to let us have 2 or 3, we'll do that and try to win the 4th one on our own." And in game 2, if Gary, people forget, Manu came back. He led the team in scoring the final 5 games. If Gary Neal doesn't hit a straightaway free throw that he banked in from about 30 feet. The Grizzlies are up 2-0 coming home. And then the memory I have of that series after that is how incredibly loud FedEx Forum was for Game 3. Our owner at that time was Michael Heisley, who since passed away and did wonderful things for this organization, building it to where it got to. Challenged the fans on the plaza that day, right outside of our arena. He said, I was at Game 1, and it was as loud as I've seen an NBA game. I want it louder in here today. And when that happened, it was amazing, and it got even louder Game 6 when the whole key to the series for the Grizzlies was Zach Randolph. He basically looked over at the bench, and I'll never forget. He walked over to the bench, looked at his teammates. He said, I got you guys. Let's go. We can do this. I've got it. And he hit a step-back, fadeaway, 20-footer, this big, bulking hulk of a man that looks like he's a bulldozer, with this incredibly soft, feathery touch out of his left hand, and the ball left his hand, went through the net, and the building erupted. I thought it might come down. So it was an amazing feeling. The next series was incredible as well, but, Oklahoma City was just a little bit better. But those games were incredibly close as well. And it started what was a 7-year playoff run that, people will say, well, you guys never made the finals. They made one conference finals appearance. They made 2 appearances in the conference semis and challenged really good teams. The West is not an easy task, and for a team that, for all their years prior to that, had never really done much of anything, that was a run that was pretty special. And all you got to look is how many times the teams go on playoff runs of 7 or more years. It's not often, and so it was a special time. And I think that's a respect for this group now that they have. Tony Allen and Zach Randolph come around quite a bit. It's unfortunate because Mark Gasol and Mike Conley are still in the league, so they don't have as big a hand with these young guys as they would if they were retired. But the old players that come back around are really excited about this new group, and the new group has nothing but respect for them. And I think that's the great thing about it. When I started here, guys, I tried to explain to people this NBA franchise is going to be in its infancy until at least year 15. And it sounds like it's crazy, but 15 years gives you a chance to take what now is an 8-year-old, and then 15 years from now he's 23, and he's going to remember going to games with his dad. He's going to remember the fun times that they had, and now that he's 23 and he's back home and he's working in the area, and now maybe he's getting married and having a family, he's a Grizzly fan for life, and that's going to get passed on from generations. Well, we're about to enter year 20, and now I go around cities around the country, and I see Grizzlies jerseys. We have a budding superstar in Ja Morant that will be a jersey seller, Jaren Jackson, but even the old jerseys of Mike Conley and Marc Gasol, they've earned a lot of respect, and the key word there is earned. Nothing was given to them, and they get overlooked because we're a small market sometimes, but that's okay. That's just the way of the world, and it is what it is. Not New York, it's not Chicago, it's not San Francisco.
Thank God it's not New York. Thank God it's not New York.
I mean the market-wise, but I've always said, this is our thing. And, when we went through that run, this is ours. And people that are from the outside that don't understand it, nobody here really cares. because you'll understand it after you see it or you pay attention to it. So we're proud of it, and we also know we don't have 16 championships hanging in the rafters like Boston or 13 like the Lakers or whatever the numbers are, or even 6 like Chicago. But we're proud of our guys being our guys, and that's the way this group has made this city and organization feel like again.
Or 2 like New York.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's tough for me because I had a really good relationship with David Tisdale, and that just worked out. Look, I don't want to get banned from Madison Square Garden. I don't need to say anything negative about the owner. He likes to do that to people. So he's got to run his team the way he sees fit. I just think there's a lot of people that wonder what that way actually is.
Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of New York fans are not a big fan of James Dolan. So
yes, you're probably the only one who defends him.
Yeah,
I'm the only one that defends
I'm
him.
not defending him. I don't want to say that because I've had some questions about some of his decisions. But hey, it's his team to run how he sees fit. I think it's it's hard for me because I'm good friends with a lot of those guys, and Brendan Brown was here in Memphis, and he's on their radio call, and Ed Cohen's phenomenal on his calls, and he's just a terrific broadcaster, and it's such an asset for that team. Mike Crispino is great. One of my closest friends is Spiro Titus, who's with them for a while. I have friends that work in their organization, and there's no better guy in our league in terms of especially broadcasters, but anybody as a person than Mike Green. He's a class act all the way, and for a guy at that level to be as humble as he is with what he does is remarkable to me. And when you develop those relationships, guys, you want to see other teams do good things too. You really do. You don't develop bitterness towards any organization unless it's a rivalry. Like here, there's a rivalry with the Clippers. Yet I'm friends with people that work in the Clippers organization. When we play them, is that a game I get geared up for? Absolutely, because those rivalries with Blake Griffin and Zach Randolph were amazing. But those times are gone now too. So whoever the next rival is for this group, it'll be fun to develop that. But you never want bad things for other teams in the league, and especially for a team like New York, which is such an amazing city, and you guys have gone through so much in the last 6 months. It's been brutal, and my heart goes out to everybody there. I have so many friends that live there, and it's just totally turned everything upside down.
Eric, 6 months? 6 months? We've been doing this for 30 years.
I mean, just the full pandemic thing.
I know what you mean. I'm just talking about basketball as a whole. 30 years.
Yeah, but you guys got the Yankees and the Mets have been good here and there. And, boy, that's a great park too, Citi Field. And, the Giants and Jets have struggled a little bit as of late, but in previous years they've been solid, formidable teams. So, you want good things for people that work in those places and for the league. It's better. Let's be honest about it, guys. Nobody's going to lie to you. It's better when New York is good, right? When New York has good, formidable playoff caliber teams in every sport, it's better for that league. It just is.
I agree with you, but unfortunately, I don't know when we're actually going to be good. Hopefully, RJ Barrett and with Rose running the show over there, and hopefully, and I said this, I wrote a story 6 months ago on our network that I believe Tom Thibodeau is the perfect guy for the job, and now all of a sudden you're hearing stories that Tom Thibodeau is their number one candidate. I hope they land Tom. I think Tom fits perfectly. He wants to coach the Knicks. 62 years old. He worked under Jeff Van Gundy. I think it makes a lot of sense to bring a guy like that who preaches defense. And even though it didn't work out with the Timberwolves, I think he can really help out the way the growth of this team needs a defensive-minded coach, something that we haven't had for many, many years.
He's an unbelievable coach. I mean, he orchestrated those defenses with the Boston Celtics with the Big Three and then took that Chicago franchise to a whole nother level where I think probably that Minnesota thing didn't quite work out. Coach Thibodeau's not used to working with a really young roster like that, and today's players are different. If anything, I think that benefits him moving forward. But, if you can get players to come to New York, and you can get players to be there, some veteran players to make some of those young pieces, and Coach Thibodeau brings his style, you can flip that fairly quickly, in my opinion. So I think that's a perfect fit as well. I've heard that same rumor you've heard, that that's the guy they're going to target, and we'll see if that gets done. This whole thing's been so crazy with all the free agency now and everything in the draft. people ask me, like, how were you handling this, or were you just bored? And I said, well, for me, we almost played a full season. This is like if we had just missed the playoffs, except we ended a month early. So right now, I'd be getting ready to ramp up to go out to Las Vegas for 10 days for Summer League, which has been a blast, a chance for me to connect with our coaches and young players and cover the games and see the people that are complaining about free trips to Vegas, which always makes me shake my head, but I get when you're working, it's not quite the same. But, it's done damage, and that's where not being part of this 22-team thing, I think, is tough for a team like New York, because when you break it down, guys, the Knicks won't play a basketball game for about 300 days. That's about where the range is at, and that's a lot. And so the NBA is trying to figure out something, to what I understand, where they can get these teams some extra time, some work, some chances to be together, so they're not going into next year at a complete and utter disadvantage. So we'll see how that works out, but obviously this is something none of us could have ever planned for. None of us ever would have wished upon the country or anybody else around the world.
Before we let you go, greatest basketball player of all time. I know people are arguing LeBron James and Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Could you tell the fans, and you've watched enough basketball, who is going to be, even when LeBron James' career is over, who is the greatest basketball player of all time, Eric?
I still think it's going to be an argument between two. And as good as Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell, who is, I had the pleasure of doing a book signing with, hosting something here in Memphis, and I was terrified because I heard he just doesn't like media, doesn't like people. He was great to me, and we had a long conversation because I looked at his numbers. Bill Russell never scored more than 20 points in a game. Or 20 points, not in a game, 20 points a game in a season. And he basically said, because Red Auerbach looked at me and said, I don't need you to score. I need you to rebound, block shots, and play defense. Because I could have scored 30, and I don't doubt it. But you look at all those guys, Oscar Robertson, the greats that have played, Magic, Larry, Dr. J, who was my favorite player growing up. The argument to me comes down to two guys. In the end, no one will ever put up the numbers LeBron is going to put up. He's going to score 40,000 points, he's going to have 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. It's in the cards. But when I talk to players that have played alongside or seen both, and every one of them to a man says it's Michael Jordan, and you look at the difference in the rules today to where they were then, the difference in the level of nutrition and training, Michael was ahead of his time. I would love to see what he could do today. I would go with Michael. It's not disparaging to LeBron James, because what he's done is phenomenal, and he's taken that torch. But I go back to trying to find guys that have been around, and one of my good friends in this league has become Bill Wennington, who played his career at St. John's in college, and then went on to a nice NBA career as a journeyman big man. And Bill and I have maybe shared a beer or 12 in a sitting here or there, and told some stories. And he just said, you have no idea. As much as I know you know the game, you have no idea how different level this guy was unless you were around him. And people say that about LeBron, but I mean, watching all of that Last Dance stuff, I would go there. And it's not, again, I'm also 47, so that's my generation.
I'm not far from you, man. I'm not far from you. I'm 38. I'm getting up there, man.
But when you talk to a 27-year-old or a 25-year-old,
they don't know.
No question in their mind it's LeBron James. And I was like, that's because you didn't see what they did to Michael Jordan. I think that Last Dance people got, when you had a book called The Jordan Rules of what they were doing to stop him, that's crazy. And you look at the shots and fouls he took in those games against teams like Detroit, against teams like Boston, against teams like Atlanta, who, despite having Dominique Wilkins and Doc Rivers at the point, Tree Rollins wasn't going to let you come in that lane without knocking you on the butt. And you hear guys say that, and Bill Wennington and some guys I've worked with have said, you didn't go into the lane against Rick Mahorn. And Rick Mahorn was like, that would have been a mistake because you were not going to leave the lane on your feet. And so that's just a different way than they play today. And for a guy who just could literally score everywhere on the floor, I shudder to think what he would do in today's game and age, where we see guys like James Harden getting 10 free throws a night. Michael never had that. Michael was shooting 10, 12 free throws a night. He's scoring 40 a game, just about every night. And so I'm going to go with Michael Jordan, and I know that that's going to not fit well with some people and fit
Good
well with
choice.
others, but that's just one man's opinion.
Good choice. Oh, man. Eric, why don't you tell the fans how they could find you all over social media?
I'm only on Twitter. My story is I was on Instagram for a little bit, and then some 15-year-old in Memphis decided it was a good idea to start flirting with my 15-year-old daughter in California, and I said, well, that'll be enough Instagram. So, as a protective father, I shut that down. I'm always, tweets that are respectful or even questioning, critical, I'm fine with. Tweets that are just ridiculously mean, I don't respond to, but it's just at Eric Hasseltine, and that's where I'm at. Facebook is the same, although it's pretty packed up there. I love hearing from people from around the country, so if people enjoy this and want to shoot a message or ask a question, feel free to get in touch with me anytime. I'm just kind of hanging around, waiting for this to start like everybody else, right?
Absolutely. I will tell you this. I would love to get you back on if the season starts. I do believe the season is going to start because this weekend we are hearing that the season will start. We'd love to get you back on to talk Memphis Grizzlies and NBA basketball very, very soon.
Anytime, guys. I was happy to do it. I really enjoyed this, and I'm sorry it took so long.
It's all right.
With all the uncertainty, everybody just kind of wanted to err on the side of caution. So anytime you guys need me, I'm here for you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the show.
It's the New York thing. I know. Eric, I know it's the New York thing. Eric, thank you.
Take care.
Eric Hasseltine, the voice of the Memphis Grizzlies. Up next, the great Mark Kelly, here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time. It's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs. So I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one. Even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Tell the world I see with an emoji.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. Feedthepig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? When a tornado is tearing through town? Or a hurricane strikes? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. And it's not always as simple as using your cell phone. That's why now is the time to take action. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening.
Of course my kids.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333 5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Six 631-965-4990 is the number. As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. I'd like to thank the coach, the baseball coach of Rutgers Baseball, Steve Owens, for joining us at 6:30, and the voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, play-by-play guy, Eric Hasseltine, for joining us. Gave us some good insight of what the Grizzlies are doing, talked about the New York Knicks. Very interesting things he said about the New York Knicks. And we have our third guest of the show. We wanted to get him on a video feed, but we've had problems with it. But next Monday, we'll absolutely have him on the video feed. We are now talking to the great Mark Kelly. What's going on, Mark?
How you doing, Al? Nice to have you on again.
Absolutely. We're going to do this every single Monday, and we're going to call this segment, Speedy,
Mark It Up.
This is Mark It Up. Mark It Up.
Well, hold on one second. You didn't hear the drop because you're talking. So do it again, Speedy. You're not.
This is Mark It Up.
Mark It Up. Mark It Up. Mark It Up. Very good. Very manly.
Well, you heard that?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we will put the volume key up because you're a little bit low. And Speedy, as good of a producer he's been over the years, he has problems still working the machines for some reason. I have no idea, but that's just Speedy, unfortunately. Anyways, what we're going to do is Speedy's going to take some instrumentals. So, Speedy, get some instrumentals together because you obviously don't have that ready. And we are going to go through certain topics with Mark. And we are going to argue these topics with Mark moving forward every single week. Mark, you have some topics you want to get into?
Sure.
All right. So when we begin, as Speedy is moving in his own pace, what else is new? Once we get the music on, we will move forward. Speedy, what are you doing?
Looking for the sports themes.
Well, you are... You should know more than anybody what I always ask for. And for some reason, everybody likes to laugh about this, but you always screw up when it comes to doing this. So what are you doing? Pick a song. Pick a track. I don't care what it is. What are you doing? Mr. Producer over here. We have a great producer that concentrates on whatever he wants to concentrate, and whatever he doesn't want to concentrate, he doesn't concentrate on. Anyways. All right. What would you like to talk about, Mark? Mark, you there? Hello?
Sorry. I had you on mute. All right, starting with the NBA, Al. Okay, the NBA announced it's going to be starting around July 21st at Walt Disney World at the studios over there, and they're going to have six other teams joining the teams that are already in the playoffs, or at least in a 1 through 7 spot. And the way that they're seeding the 8th seed, to me, is almost you need like a mathematics degree, because it can get complicated. And I'm not sure even the players really understand how they're going to go about even getting into the playing game. Something like if there's 4 games left, if they're within 4 games, then they'll have a match between the 8th and 9th team. I think it's just way too complicated when you're already dealing with a very complicated situation.
I agree with you. I think the NBA, the fact that the NBA is coming back, there is some things that I'm looking at with some of the thoughts of Adam Silver and the Players Union trying to negotiate this deal. I dislike the fact that there are 8 games. I think there should be a round robin, just like the NHL is doing. They should have 24 to 22 teams. I agree. Play 5 games in the first round. Each each I guess, preliminary round.
Knockout round.
Where they can earn their way into the tournament, where that seems more intriguing than playing 8 games and really teams like the Knicks or teams like the Wizards or whoever are going to be left out, and they're not going to, just like what's his name again?
Eric Hasseltine.
Eric Hasseltine said to us, it doesn't help the league where the New York Knicks might not play another game for 300 days. So, and that's the New York Knicks. So I agree with you. I think the question is how is the league and how is the NBA going to sell this coming forward? And I do believe they're going to be able to sell it because you got LeBron James, you got some of the big names coming back in basketball. But how are you going to sell it to the fan when you're trying to sell endorsements and sponsors? That's the question that the NBA are going to have to figure that out.
Now, Mark, we actually had this weird idea last week. Errol and I were thinking, and it was mainly his idea, but completely randomizing in these weird terms with all these teams coming in and having a completely wild, not conference-based playoff. What are your thoughts of that?
Right, like 1 through 32? Is what you're talking about?
No, he thinks completely random matchups is what Errol was saying last week.
Any team plays any team, but would all teams be involved, all 30 teams?
Did you say all 30 teams? I don't remember.
I said, here's what I said. I think that the NBA needs to figure out, to me, I would have taken all 30 teams or 32 teams, whatever, how many teams there are in the NBA, and put them in brackets and put them in divisions and put a round robin like the NCAA tournament where each and every one of those teams earn their way into the Sweet 16 or whatever, the Elite 8. And I said that would be smarter because that would sell not only to the league, but it will sell to the fans around the country, all the different teams, the different states. It would bring their team and actually make it very, very interesting. Even the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors were the worst team in the NBA. But who knows, with the health that they have, Klay Thompson possibly be able to come back, being that he was hurt. They have a chance to somehow squeak into the playoffs and make a run. I think that's more intriguing and more interesting, and it will draw more people to watch.
I do. I agree with that. I think, obviously, if you have something where the worst team has a chance to get to the finals, considering how bad they were when they had injuries, but again, injuries played into it. So you're giving them another chance with a more healthy lineup, and I think that's what fans want to see anyway, because they want to see, hey, if we had our healthy guys, would we compete? And that would give them at least a chance. Like the line from that movie with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. So you're saying there's a chance, and I think that's what every team and every fan would want. But let's just get to the case here. Why the NBA is doing this, I believe, is because they want that 8-9 best, play-in matchup between John Morant and Zion Williamson and the Grizzlies and New Orleans. I think that's what really they've been looking for all year with the way those two teams play.
Mm-hmm. Especially, again, same draft, same everything. They want that kind of matchup just to get the young stars going and get fresh blood in the Western Conference, too.
Yep. And I mean, it's really not – of all those teams, there's really one team in the Eastern Conference that has any shot, and there's 5 other teams in the Western Conference. So there's really not a balance anyway. So I really don't understand what the NBA is doing when you compare it to the NHL, which the only thing I don't see from the NHL is the date. I like the idea. It seems that everybody's aboard, but I don't know where they're going to play, and I don't know when they're going to start. Do you guys know anything?
No, I agree with you.
Early July is when they're projected to start, and they have the 24 teams, 5 versus 12 playoff setup.
You talking about the NHL?
Yeah.
The NHL, 24 teams, the first round, 5 games to squeak into the tournament, and then they do a 7-game
It's
series
back to
all the
normal
way.
at that point, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I think that's great. I just don't know when it's going to start.
Oh, it's going to start in June, early June.
Late June, early July is what I heard.
I'm sorry. It is June. I'm sorry. It's going to be later June, I would say the 3rd week of June, 4th week of June, all the way into July. It would be early July when they plan to move forward.
That seems like the most likely scenario. I think the best case scenario is, like you were saying, the 3rd week of June.
I keep forgetting it is June now. It's going so fast.
Yeah, we're at June 8th now.
It's crazy. Anyways,
right. You guys know where they're going to play, though?
I'm sorry?
Do Do you know where they're going to play?
Yeah, they said that there's a couple of places they're talking about. They're talking about, Las Vegas. 3 or 4 cities in Canada.
I think
Toronto,
Edmonton,
Edmonton, and possibly Montreal, and another place.
I think Minnesota, Chicago, and I think there was one other southern one too.
I think that's going to be great, guys, because you had a lot of teams toward the end of the year playing really well. Okay, the Rangers came out of nowhere to really get back into the Eastern Conference. Great. And they were only 1 or 2 points behind the 8th seed when this thing ended. And they've been scoring goals, and their goaltending has been doing very well. They could be a team to watch out for. You know, the Islanders got off to a great start early, but then they kind of faltered toward the end. But the Islanders have the type of system that you could win with in a time when you don't know what you're going to get because guys have been off the score. You saw while they played at the start of the season, maybe they could do that again. Now that we're kind of restarting things, the Bruins, the Lightning, 2 teams that dominated last year, Bruins made the Cup, the Lightning and the President's Trophy. So it's going to be a really exciting race in the East, and then the West is kind of wide open as well, with Calgary, with Vegas, with Colorado, one of the fastest teams in the NHL. I'm excited to see it happen, especially where there's no advantage. Everybody plays by the same rules, no how much advantage. It's a real, I think, good test to see who really is the best team.
All right, Conor McGregor retiring. What are your thoughts to that?
Oh my God! I mean, didn't he retire? How many times has he retired now?
This is the second time.
The second time, but there's rumors from what I that Dana White doesn't pay people enough. Is that true?
I don't think so.
I'm one of the guys that believe that he needs to learn how to pay his fighters, and I think that when you look at boxing and the prize fighters, even the worst fighters are making $1 million. Some of them are making $500,000. Their promoters are making a lot of money, but for some reason, Dana White, who's making hundreds of millions of dollars with some of these pay-per-views, even the last pay-per-view on Saturday, I heard they broke about $170, $180 million. Where's all that money going?
Yeah. Right. So it's probably just another tactic. I think more if it works for him, because I don't think there's any chance that he's retiring. He's too young, he's too popular, and his ego's too big. So there's no way he's going to stay out very long. And I think it's just a ploy to get more money and to get more interest.
Drew Brees getting harassed by not only players on his own team but the NFL. What are your thoughts to that?
Yeah, well, look, I don't think anybody would look at Drew Brees and say, "Oh, there's the problem." Okay, Brees felt strongly about the NFL and players standing for the national anthem. That to him was a different issue than what they're talking about. Once he sat in and had to kind of explain how his teammates felt about it, Brees saw what they were saying and kind of changed his tune a little bit. And I think that's the important thing. When I wrote about something like this today, I wrote a 2-part series on kind of explaining the history of some of the people in the past that have took stances on racial injustice, and to them it's something that clearly is unique. And unless you can understand where they're coming from, it's going to be hard to relate. Just like I used the example with me being a cancer survivor. It's hard for other people that don't see and experience what I do to really understand what that's like for me. And I think the opposite applies here when we're talking about how African Americans feel about racial issues. So I think Brees, that was the one thing that he didn't see at first, and then he did when he saw the emotion on some of his teammates. Everybody has the right, once they know what they're dealing with, to alter their views and really take a stance either way.
All right. Another question. What are your thoughts to the argument, who is the greatest basketball of all time? I mean, there are people arguing Michael Jordan, some people out of nowhere. I understand the LeBron James lovers. People are putting LeBron James there with all the numbers and all the records he's going to have at the end of his career. What are your thoughts to that?
Well, here's the thing, Errol. I always broke it down to 2 different things, okay? To me, there's the best player ever, and then there's the player I would take first, okay? And to me, it's different. the best player I ever saw, without a doubt, is Michael Jordan. Okay, that doesn't dismiss LeBron James. I think what he's done. I mean, he's made the finals 9 out of 10 years this decade. Amazing. With 2 different teams. Okay. However, the player I would take first would be Magic Johnson. Only because he can play every position, he can make everyone better, and then I would have a host of guys that I could use, whether it's Bryant, whether it's James, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, James Worthy, didn't matter. Russell, Elijah, Chamberlain, so many different choices. To me, Magic would be the one I would want to start and lead the team. So I differentiate the two there. But as far as the best player I ever saw, that was Michael Jordan.
All right. The NFL deciding to try to take away the
onside kicks.
No. The Saints.
Oh.
The Saints rule.
Pass interference challenge.
The pass interference challenge. What are your thoughts to that?
The NFL is trying to take away the Saints rule. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, They want to take away right now. They're negotiating right now to take away the pass interference challenge rule.
Should have never been a rule to begin with. It was the most awful rule and the most misunderstood. The only thing that was harder to understand was what was attached and what wasn't attached for about 3 or 4 years. When you would see guys clearly catch the ball and then it would be ruled incomplete. Look at how many games. Think of the Jets Dolphin game last year that was played at the Meadowlands, and the Jets wound up winning because Miami got a penalty called on them on 4th down that would have ended the game. That shouldn't happen because it wasn't a clearly defined penalty. They'd stop play, they'd look at it, and then determine. That should never happen. What happened in the NFC Championship game was unfortunate. It was an obvious call that should have been made, but it wasn't. They threw the call. It was a human mistake. There's no way they can make up for it, and they tried to, and they wasted a season.
And the onside kick rule that they are trying to implement in the game, practically take it away. What are your thoughts to that?
Say again. I didn't hear the end of it.
Right.
One more time?
The onside kick rule that the NFL is trying to take away, which they think will make the game a lot better. What are your thoughts to that?
Well, I mean, what is the onside? What's the chance of a team of covering onside kick? Something like 5%, I believe. I think, coming up with different ways on how to do that, like a team would start like 4th and 15 or something instead. I think that's interesting. I would like to see different ways of that implemented. That to me would be very interesting. I mean, it's kind of like when I was at ESPN, and me and a couple of the researchers really wanted to understand what the value is of going for it on 4th down. Is it better to just go for it, or is it better to punt the ball? And it really was like a 40-60 thing where if you just decided to go for it, once you got to a certain point, it really wouldn't affect you either way. So seeing different thoughts implemented like that, I think are very interesting as opposed to a replay on penalties, which is absurd.
All right, Mark, thank you for joining us. We will have this fixed next week. I want to set this up where Speedy understands not to say, well, we're going to call it Mark It Up. We want you to get on the video feed. So we're going to test it before the show next week. So you're on there, and then we'll have you on. You are a little bit low, but that's understandable because you're probably outside and you're talking on speakerphone.
Yeah.
But next week we're gonna perfect this, and we're gonna get you on so people can actually hear you fluent. Because there are people telling me on the social media that they can't really hear you, or they hear you very little bit. So next week I want to set this up where it's a segment for you, so people can see you and people can hear you.
Okay, sounds great, guys. Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to talking to you.
Thank you, Mark. Mark Kelly, who's now with us and who has come back and joined the team, if you might say. Speedy, is our 3-year vet as a producer, screwing up like usual, but that's just Speedy. But tomorrow, who do we have, Speedy?
We got 2 guys from James Madison. Actually, one of them is the softball coach, Lauren Lapart, And then Alex Guerra is the baseball assistant coach and also his recruiting coordinator.
So that is Jillian. I'm pretty sure Jillian set this up, and I'm very intrigued on what they have to say, not only what's going on in their schools, but their sports and really the direction their sports is going. So very intriguing. It's going to be a good show lined up tomorrow. I'm going to have you guys laughing tomorrow. Speedy's going to be wearing a wig and a dress tomorrow, so stay tuned for that.
Not happening.
631-965-4990. I just want to thank our three special guests. I want to thank Mark Kelly for joining us at the 7:40 hour. I'd like to thank Rutgers baseball head coach Steve Owens and the voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, the play-by-play broadcaster Eric Hasseltine, for joining us. Great insight of what's going on with the Grizzlies. Great information. We will be back tomorrow, as you guys know, at 6 p.m., I wouldn't say on the dot, about 6:05, as we always join. And hopefully Speedy doesn't screw up today. I mean, tomorrow. I mean, any day moving forward. Until tomorrow, this is Errol Marks and Speedy Petey saying good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.